Forces. He was asked by the Permanent Secretary of Defense of that era, George Bogas, to deliver a suitcase to Lee Kuan Yew, whom at that time was based in Harvard University. After a flight and a train ride, my dad met Lee Kuan Yew and presented the briefcase to him. The inspection of the document inside was almost cursory, but the conversation which ensued was much more intriguing and of consequence. He invited my dad to take a walk with him in the vast Lee Gardens and sought his opinion on a matter of national security. After pondering over the issue for a while and coming to a difficult but necessary decision, he handed my dad 2 orange frisbees, saying, "Please give this to my sons." It was a story that to me was intimately revealing, epitomizing Lee Kuan Yew as an iconic statesman faced with profound challenges in the position and responsibilities he had taken on, as well as a man who was constantly preoccupied with love, concern, and affection for his family. It changed the regard I held him in, compelling me to see him as a multifaceted person, not too different from the rest of us beneath style and status. On another occasion, my dad shared his experience helping to establish the Air Force from, well, you could say the ground up. He was tasked with scouring the boneyard in Arizona for military aircraft we could get to build our Air Force up. He returned upon selecting a batch of Skyhawks and told me that Dr. Goh Keng Swee was rather pleased, to say the least. After one particular meeting, Dr. Goh left the conference room clutching a model of the Skyhawk to his chest, saying, "My Air Force," with palpable pride and passion. The civil servants of yesteryear were collectively the soul of Singapore. Their dedication, conviction, zeal, and on many occasions, their absolute refusal to be sycophants, breathed life into the nation and fire from its belly. I've told close friends how much my dad's anecdotes have influenced my socio-political views, how deep my connection to this country has become, and how much more enchanted with our real national historical narrative I am as a result. In this challenging period of uncertainty and transformation, it's as good a time as any to begin delving deeper into history to find our place in the world as Singaporeans. Ask questions about our history and the individuals behind the icons who have contributed so significantly to our nation, but have had to contend with lying in the shadows. Search for stories, because they're all around us, in our architecture, landscape, cuisine, culture, geopolitical environment, political milieu, and most powerfully and heartwarmingly, in our collective experience and individual endeavors. Because Singapore isn't just comprised of monolithic personalities, the leaders of a particular party, or even the civil service at large. It is a team of every single Singaporean who has empowered themselves to make Singapore what it is now, and will continue to fight the good fight together. This is what our national rhetoric should be, and this is what we at the SDP recognize, that you are important. You are an important, valuable part of the Singapore story, that your needs should be addressed, that your hopes and dreams form the soul of this nation, that if not the lives of our people, the good of society, and a future we can all believe in, then what are we truly fighting for? At the SDP, we're committed to prioritizing your interests, your hopes, your vision for a Singapore you can truly call home. Because we know you have worked hard. We understand your struggles. We feel your happiness and your pain. We celebrate your successes. We see you, and we would be honored to fight for you. So if you feel so inclined to take the first step towards a Singapore you can be happy in and proud of, vote for us and vote for the SDP. Thank you.
Dear friends and supporters, I am Wayin from the Singapore Democratic Party, SDP. I am part of the SDP Marsiling UT team, together with my colleague Damanhuri Abbas, Brian Lim, and Ben Pui. This COVID-19 pandemic has wrought major and irrevocable changes to the political, social, economic landscape in Singapore. Our economy is expected to shrink 4 to 7%, the worst since independence. Many industries like travel, entertainment, and restaurants are decimated. Good companies are freezing headcounts and pay. Ailing companies are closing or consolidating, leading to pay cuts if you're lucky, or worse, face retrenchments. Analysts are predicting up to 200,000 retrenchments in the coming months and year. This is why we believe that other than a one-off payment of support funds, Singaporeans are going to need a better support system in place to tide us over the havoc wreaked by the COVID virus. Our 4 Years One No campaign is formulated to relieve the pressure and anxiety that the people are facing due to the aftermath of the COVID pandemic. First yes, suspension of GST. Given how unprecedented the economic fallout is going to be, we believe that we will not be able to rely on the same old to deal with it. We will need to dismantle the usual SOP and come up with an equally unprecedented way to solve this unprecedented problem. This is why we are proposing to suspend GST until the end of 2021. By bringing GST to 0%, we are helping to reduce the burden of daily expenses for the people. Suspension of GST will also help to stimulate the economy by encouraging spending, which will in turn hasten business recovery. Second yes, retrenchment benefits for laid-off workers. We will fight for retrenchment benefits to be paid to workers who are retrenched as a result of the COVID-19. While the efforts by the government to ensure that companies keep workers employed by subsidizing their salaries are commendable, there are still going to be industries and companies out there where they are simply no longer able to sustain or function the same way in a post-COVID world. With records retrenchments on the horizon, we will need to support workers beyond the funds set aside for skills upgrading and job training. At the end of the day, you can train retrenched workers all you want, but they will also need to put food on the table for their family. This is why we are proposing to pay a retrenched worker 50% of his or her last drawn salary for up to 18 months while they are receiving skills and training upgrading. These workers will need to be placed on the national job banks and be cooperative in accepting new job placements. Third yes, provide income for retirees. Regardless whether you are Merdeka or Pioneer Generation, we are proposing to pay the bottom 80% of retirees aged 65 and above a stipend of $500 a month to offer more equitable help to the older, poorer retirees. RISE, or RSIE, which stands for Retirement Income Scheme for the Elderly, will be a centerpiece of legislation that we will fight to enact once in Parliament. Our CPF contribution, which is supposed to be our primary retirement saving, however, with this deduction to Medisave and high cost of housing, many seniors are now stuck in the situation where they have insufficient saving in their CPF accounts, which is why a report states that CPF pays only an average of $280 a month to retirees, while working children pay close to $500 a month to their parents. This is, however, still far short of the 1,380 local researchers found to be required for an elderly folk to live a dignified life. With retrenchment and pay cuts expected in the coming months, working adults will find it even harder to provide for their own children and take care of their retired parents at the same time. By providing $500 for the average retiree, RISE will also relieve the financial pressure of younger working generations. The fourth yes, put people first. While we understand that we are not able to lock down our economy for an extended period of time, sooner or later we will need to reopen in order to remain productive and avoid further damage to job and economy. At the same time, we need to understand that many countries that have reopened are now facing a second spike in COVID-19 cases. If that second spike happens in Singapore, it may constitute as a weakness on PAP for failing to manage a crisis, which will directly affect their vote share. To avoid that, PAP insisted on calling for a GE at the first opportunity in the middle of our recovery from the COVID-19. This goes to show that PAP is willing to gamble with public health and safety for its own political interests. To put things in perspective, various opposition parties, including SDP, have put up statements to rally behind PAP, urging them to focus on sorting out the containment of this virus before calling for an election. There was also a survey showing that most Singaporeans do not wish to hold an election at this point in time. However, PAP is seemingly tone deaf and disregarded the safety concerns of residents and well-meaning constructive support from opposition parties, favouring instead to shore up their support before a second surge in COVID cases. SDP will ensure that PAP put the people's interest as top priority. 1 no. No to 10 million population. Our current population is 5.7 million and on course to hit 6.9 million in a few years. Already, we are straining in more ways than one to accommodate this figure. Now, imagine that our future PM candidate says that we should plan for 10 million, and this was reported in the Straits Times. We are not making this up. There is no way for the Singaporean core population to go to 10 million with the poor TFR figures that we have. So what do you think the path that we are going to take to boost that 4.3 million? More foreigners? Already, it cannot competently contain the outbreak of the COVID-19, which spreads faster as population density increases. Also, our economy has become overly dependent on foreign workers, especially PMETs. As it is now, 1 in 4 PMET positions are held by a foreigner. While we should remain open to global talents coming into our country to supplement the shortfall of qualified workers, this should not be done at the expense of Singaporeans. This 4Y, 1N issues addresses the concern of our people on 2 levels. 1, they take care of the immediate necessities of Singaporeans during and immediately after the COVID period. And 2, they ensure that the longer-term problems that confront our nations are dealt with. We will focus on these ideas and proposals in our GE campaign. Support us, support SDP to make this proposal a reality. 4 yes, 1 no. Thank you.
Hey, how you see me?
Hi, good evening. I'm from the SDP. My name is Jupri Sai.
Oh, hello, madam. Yeah, I'm calling from the SDP. My name is...
Life of a fundraiser is very kankor. Life of a SDP fundraiser is even more kankor. But with your generosity, we are able to put up a good fight this coming election. You can donate $10, $20, 50 grand also can. You can also support us by buying a copy or 10 copies of our party manifesto at $40 each. This manifesto will let you know more about the party's vision and policy for this coming election. Go to our online store and shop at yoursdp.org/store. Ouch! You can also bring home 1 or 3 of our favorite Danny Bears at $20 each.
Voters of Marsiling UT GRC, we are facing elections because the PAP insists on having one. Asking for a strong mandate to deal with COVID-19 pandemic is opportunistic. Putting the entire population at risk for its political interests is immoral and ethically wrong. In February last year, the SDP launched our manifesto that provides comprehensive details of our economic, education, healthcare, housing, population, and all other policies. They contain fresh ideas that offer Singaporeans a viable alternative to the present status quo of PAP policies that have exponentially raised the cost of living, making us the most expensive city on earth, as well as making Singaporeans lose jobs, outcompeted to foreign PMETs brought in by the PAP through agreements they signed prioritizing their crony business interests at the expense of us citizens. This must change. This can change. This election will be critical. In the 9 days, the PAP will promise you estate renewal and upgrading to blind you from crucial issues that you face and are affected every day. Their offer at this time is honestly immoral. Estate renewal is a citizen's right and should not be used as a bargaining chip in an election. It distracts you from focusing on bread and butter issues that matters, like the high cost of living due to PAP policies, such as the GST that includes basic necessities. Second, the real help needed by you, many of you, who are retrenched to cope with daily and monthly bills greatly impacted by the sudden loss of monthly income. 3, the CPF payout that is not enough for our retirement, exhausted for paying excessive price of HDB flats. 4, the plan for 10 million population, squeezing us and making us citizens into minority in our own country. Singaporeans must not continue to let the PAP abuse the election process to prevent you, the voters, from asking them to explain these more urgent and important questions. The SDP have responded to this COVID crisis by prioritizing what are the most pertinent issues impacting Singaporeans directly, as well as anticipating future potential impact if we do not take actions now. We have summarized this into the 4 Yes and 1 No campaign slogan for this election. Yes to suspend the GST. The GST is a regressive tax applied across the board on everything, when the PAP could easily have excluded basic needs, reducing price of rice, sugar, water, milk, eggs, among them. The SDP calls for 0% GST until the end of 2021 to help people and business cope with costs in this immediate climate of economic uncertainty. Yes to retrenchment benefits. Hundreds and probably thousands of Singaporeans are being retrenched as our economy is impacted by the global pandemic. The vaccine is still not found and may not be found soon. Thus, providing income guarantees will help Singaporeans tide over this period as they reskill and look for new jobs to appear. The SDP calls for retrenched workers to be paid 50% of their last drawn salary for 18 months. Yes to provide retirement income. Studies show that on average, a retiree in Singapore gets $500 from their children, with many workers losing jobs or having salaries impacted. Therefore, providing retirees with $500 income would ease the burden on their children caring for them. Yes to putting people first. Politics should never be before the interests of the people. There are many examples that the PAP prioritizes their political interests above that of the people. This GE during a COVID pandemic is one clear example of not putting people first. Finally, no to 10 million populations. This is a just demand to control the influx of foreign talents who are PMETs, stealing away our jobs as locals get outcompeted by bosses and companies that are interested only in the bottom line. The taxes and fees imposed on these thousands of foreign talents allowed in have become a money machine that clearly blinded the PAP from listening to our pain. These are our campaign promises to you, Singapore. In the coming days, all the SDP candidates and I will share more messages that will help you understand the real important issues before you in this election, so that you can make an informed and wise choice when you vote. SDP offers you to be your voice in Parliament, to speak up for your interests and the interests of all Singaporeans, our voice that have been systematically silenced for so long. We look forward to your support. Vote for us. Vote for SDP. Remember, 4 yes, 1 no. Thank you.